The final battle was imminent, but Zhang Yi couldn't understand why Bian Junwu was so eager to launch a full-scale attack. Could it be that they had found a way to deal with the horde of zombies? He thought to himself. Their 5-person squad had witnessed the horrors of the horde zombie armies supplemented by remarkably powerful bronze-armored zombies. It seemed impossible that they could have found a solution in just one day. Yang Xinxin, tilting her head with a smile. They are an elite squad sent from the River South domain, so it's not surprising they have this capability. They have access to a larger intelligence network, plus several factions have provided their data without reservation. By now, their understanding of the zombie hordes is surely far superior to ours. Zhang Yi also felt that Yang Xinxin's words made a lot of sense. Thinking about it, the main reason their last mission deep underground had failed was due to their limited knowledge of the zombie king. From beginning to end, they had never actually seen what was called a zombie king. All their information was merely speculation based on the existing data. This had led to an inexplicable sense of fear in them, as everything was unknown. But it was different for Bian Junwu and his people. Their combat level was much higher than their teams. Even the members under Bian's command were probably stronger than the leaders of various bases. Thinking this, Zhang Yi said lightly, "It seems we'll have to go and see for ourselves." Yang Xinxin analyzed. With such a large-scale concentration of forces, they probably wouldn't dare to play any tricks. Besides, our smaller numbers make us more flexible, whether we're advancing or retreating. Zhang Yi nodded. Then let's go and see how they plan to deal with the zombie horde. Immediately after, Zhang Yi informed everyone to gather in the living room for a meeting. He shared the news he had received with everyone. Uncle Yu immediately became alert. So, the war is about to start, isn't it? The Human Alliance fighting a great battle against the zombie army. It's exciting to think about. Zhang Yi remained calm and said, "This battle seems inevitable. As long as zombies exist, we can't live peacefully here. I just didn't expect their efficiency to be so high. They had a concrete plan in place just one day after arriving. They really are professionals." After his reflection, Zhang Yi looked around at everyone. "However, our main priority in this operation remains the same. Safety first. Life is the most important. Everything else comes second." Everyone nodded in agreement. At this moment, Zhou Kier suddenly spoke up. "It's you guys heading out again, and we stay home?" Zhang Yi nodded affirmatively. "Of course. Non-combatants would only be a burden if they went. We wouldn't be able to protect you in a real fight. Now that the 5 major forces have united, it means they have to face all the zombies in Heavenly Sea City, so they need to be able to focus completely on the battle without worries." But Zhou Kier said, "I think you're missing a doctor. This battle could very well be a prolonged one, and you'll definitely need sufficient logistical support. Also, I'm sure the other forces will have their own medical logistics personnel. So, take me with you this time." Zhou Kier looked at Zhang Yi seriously. He understood that she was worried about him. However, in such extreme cold temperatures, it could indeed be very dangerous if injuries were not treated promptly and effectively. At this point, Uncle Yu also said, "I think Dr. Zhou is right. This battle won't end quickly. If it's a prolonged war, then logistical support is indeed very important, especially medical personnel." After some thought, Zhang Yi finally nodded and said, "Since you really want to take the risk with us, we'll take you along this time. I'll arrange for you to stay in the rear, and you must stay hidden. If we get injured, we'll come to you for treatment." Upon hearing this, Zhou Kier was ecstatic and immediately hugged Zhang Yi's neck happily. I know. Thank you, Brother Zhang Yi. I'll fulfill my duties as a doctor." Lu Karen, not to be outdone, patted her chest and said loudly, "Brother Zhang, take me with you this time too. My shooting skills have improved a lot recently." Zhang Yi looked at Lu Karen and said somewhat speechlessly, "You don't even know what we're up against. Guns aren't very effective against zombies." He stated bluntly, "Apart from Kier, everyone else stays in the shelter." In fact, aside from Lu Karen, the other 3 had no intention of going. Yang Xinxin couldn't go due to mobility issues. Shou Haimei and Yang Mi were too scared. Just the sight of zombies made them tremble. Before setting out, Zhang Yi specially gave Zhou Kier a small silver pistol. Although it was ineffective against zombies, it was still useful for self-defense against humans. Meanwhile, at the headquarters of the Snow Worship sect, Bian Junwu and his team arrived first. Jing Yixin, accompanied by a group of senior members, stepped forward to greet them. After several bloody battles with zombies, the Snow Worship sect was in disarray. Bloodstains everywhere and some limbs and body parts not yet cleaned up. Jing Yixin stepped forward and asked, "I wonder why Bian's team has suddenly gathered several major forces at the Snow Worship sect. Do you have any specific plans? Could you inform us in advance so that we can prepare?" Behind him, Wu Di chuckled coldly. "With everything in such chaos here, what can you prepare? You should know we're here to handle things. You just need to follow our orders." At these words, several people behind Jing Yixin immediately showed signs of anger. Seeing this, Wu Di's mouth curved into a slight smile and continued, "It seems you don't agree? How about stepping out to practice? You can all come at once." At that moment, Han Chang couldn't hold back. "What's so great about the River South domain? Don't get too arrogant. Even if you are strong, we are not pushovers." At this tense moment, Jing Yixin shouted, "Han Chang, stop." He then apologized to Wu Di. "Please forgive us. With the zombies attacking frequently these days, our sect has suffered heavy casualties, and emotions are inevitably a bit extreme." Wu Di was about to say something more, but Bien Junwo gestured to stop him. Bien Junwo then said to Jing Yishan, "The detailed plan is not convenient to disclose yet. We'll discuss it once everyone else has arrived." Jing Yishan did not continue to inquire and said, "Then please make yourselves comfortable in the church." As soon as they entered the church, Bien Junwo asked, "Since the zombie crisis began, how many people has your snow worship sect lost in total?" Jing Yishan was not expecting this question and hesitated before responding. "We haven't done a precise count, but the death toll is at least 3,000 to 4,000. Some were infected, and due to limited medical conditions, to prevent them from turning, we had to deal with them in a humane manner." Bien Junwo suddenly stopped walking and said solemnly, 3,000 to 4,000? Hearing this number, Bien Junwo was somewhat surprised, looking around as he pondered. According to intelligence, the population here once reached tens of thousands, and yet the defensive fortifications were so rudimentary. After a prolonged battle with the horde of zombies, the death toll being only around 3,000 to 4,000 was somewhat surprising to Bien Junwo. At this moment, Bien Junwo asked, "With so many people, how do you solve the food problem? Sustaining thousands of people during the apocalypse is not a simple matter." This question made the members of the snow worship sect somewhat wary, as the issue of food had always been a core secret within their sect. Nevertheless, Jing Yishan still tried to appear calm and said, "This area was originally a populous zone with many malls and supermarkets. We rely on searching for those buried malls and supermarkets to obtain food and other survival supplies." Bien Junwo glanced skeptically at Jing Yishan, clearly not quite believing this explanation. He asked in a doubtful tone, "Is it just that? Relying solely on searching buried supermarkets for supplies could not possibly sustain tens of thousands of people?" Bien Junwo naturally found this hard to believe. In such conditions, digging out supplies from under dozens of meters of snow would require enormous manpower and resources, something the snow worship sect could not possibly achieve. At this point, the atmosphere at the scene became tense, and it was apparent to everyone that the snow worship sect was hiding something regarding their food supply. The snow worship sect had concealed a huge secret, and the investigative team looked at the sect members with a speculative expression, already forming a vague guess in their minds. After all, such situations were not uncommon in the post-apocalyptic world. At this moment, Wu Di spoke in a somewhat mocking tone, "With nearly half of your followers dead, that would indeed be enough to feed the other half. What a clever solution." At these words, the members of the snow worship sect exploded in anger. Han Chang shouted in disgust, "Nonsense, we would never do such a thing." The female mutant Daimei also frowned and retorted, "Don't compare us to those beasts." Wu Di continued to tease relentlessly, "If not that, are you saying you survived by drinking the northwest wind?" Just as the atmosphere became heated, Jing Yishan and Bien Junwo simultaneously intervened. Everyone shut up. At this point, Jing Yishan also felt that it was impossible to justify themselves any further. He took a deep breath, bowed, and said, "There are indeed some secrets, but these matters concern the life and death of our snow worship sect, so we never mention them to outsiders." Bien Junwo responded coldly, "Is that so?" It was almost as if he was questioning Jing Yishan, implying that even they couldn't be told. Bien Junwo knew that at times like these, any unspoken secret might be related to the zombie hordes. Seeing Bien Junwo's concerns, Jing Yishan decided to reveal the secret to them to prove his innocence. "If you really want to know the secret, then follow me." The members of the snow worship sect panicked and quickly followed up, asking, "High Priest, are you really going to tell outsiders about this?" Jing Yishan waved his hand. "It's fine. The investigative team is from the River South Domain. They wouldn't care about our little secrets." Jing Yishan led them to a large building behind the church, where Bailey Chongqing immediately whispered with alert, "This building smells too strongly of blood." Bien Junwo also suddenly stopped in his tracks, looking up at the building. He even had the illusion that this was not an abandoned commercial building, but rather a huge, fierce-looking monster. Indeed, as Bien Junwo's vision gradually weakened, his other senses had become increasingly sharp. During his contemplation, Jing Yishan suddenly spoke, "Everyone, this is the secret of our snow worship sect. Do you still want to go in and see?" Wu Di, with arms crossed, chuckled, beating around the bush. Saying this, they still entered the building. As they ventured deeper, a huge and eerie plant came into view. Its vines covered the entire building, and its branches were laden with bright red fruits. Bien Junwo instantly understood, taking a closer look at the red fruit. "Is this the food you rely on for survival?" Wu Di, looking at the strange vines, showed a face of disgust. Jing Yishan plucked a fruit and said, "Yes, this is a mutant plant we discovered, which we call bloodvine. It has a strong vitality, absorbing all the nutrients around it to sustain itself and eventually bear fruit." He then handed the fruit to Bien Junwo. "You can try it. The fruit is non-toxic. We have been eating it for several months now and haven't found any abnormalities. It tastes almost like an apple." Bien Junwo, holding the fruit, fell into thought. Relying on this thing to survive the apocalypse and even to grow to the scale you are now, that doesn't seem very likely. Even with this fruit, that wouldn't be enough to feed thousands of you. Jing Yishan led them a few steps further inside, pointing at the ceiling and saying, "Normally, you are right, it wouldn't be enough, but later we discovered a catalyst method that greatly increased the fruit's yield." Bien Junwo and the others looked up, only to see the ceiling densely covered with with ellipsoid objects. The green vines wrapped around objects that resembled silkworm cocoons, and upon closer inspection, they vaguely formed human shapes. Mangxiu couldn't help but widen her eyes. Are these wrapped around humans? Are you using humans as nutrients to make it bear fruit? At that moment, Jing Yixian added, to be precise, these are human corpses. At these words, everyone's scalp tingled. Jing Yixian led them further towards the center of the building. The scene inside the building shocked them even more. The entire inner space of the building had been opened up by the towering blood vines, turning the central hall into a vast open space. Looking up, the wrapped bodies numbered more than thousands. Jing Yixian placed his right hand over his chest, closed his eyes, and prayed sincerely, may the forerunners become the hope of the living, their flesh, our sustenance. At this moment, everyone present understood the secret of the snow worship sect's survival. Wu Di, with his arms crossed and frowning, after all that, it still feels like cannibalism to me. Mangxiu, however, there's definitely a difference. At least this way they avoid virus infection, and psychologically, it's easier for people to accept. After surviving the apocalypse for so long, they've seen many bizarre scenes. This way of handling bodies is actually one of the better methods. At this point, Jing Yixian spoke seriously. I hope you can help us keep this secret for the snow worship sect, as it concerns the lives of thousands of our followers. Bian Junhua nodded and said, don't worry about that. As he spoke, he tossed the red fruit to Wu Di behind him, who caught the fruit with a look of disgust. Instantly, Wu Di tossed the red fruit to Kongsheng as if it were too hot to handle, and Kongsheng then threw it to Qi Guangming. The group played around while heading outside. Jing Yixian watched their retreating figures, his face revealing a cryptic smile. As everyone left the center of the building, the thousands of bodies began to sway slightly, possibly due to the wind or some other reason. After exiting the building, Bian Junwu expressed a desire to meet the sect leader, Yuan Kongye. However, Jing Yixian demurred, our leader rarely involves herself in the day-to-day affairs of the sect. Whatever you need to discuss, you can talk to me about it. Bian Junwu was non-committal. Since we're here, we should meet her, mainly because we've heard about your leader's capabilities, and the leadership in our region is very interested in her abilities. Hearing this, Jing Yixian's pupils contracted slightly, thinking about the leader's unique ability to help others awaken their powers. This meant that if she could be brought under their command, they could continuously create an army of mutants. This was also a great opportunity for the Snow Worship sect. If this resulted in support from the River South domain, their sect's development would accelerate dramatically. Thinking this, Jing Yixian nodded and said, please wait a moment, I will inform our leader. Jing Yixian had only walked a few steps when Wu Di couldn't help but speak up. I always feel that this Snow Worship sect is imbued with a sinister air. Kongsheng also spoke in a grave tone. That's not surprising. After all, organizations that exist in the form of religion tend to have their quirks. Mangxiu added, it's quite impressive that the Snow Worship sect has managed to keep thousands of its followers alive to this day. At this point, Bailey Changqing leaned in and asked, is the regional leadership really interested in this Yuan Kongya? Bian Junhua pondered. Before we left, someone mentioned during a meeting that we should investigate her abilities if we got the chance. If her powers are truly as the intelligence indicates, allowing people to awaken abilities without any cost, then our leaders will definitely try to recruit her. Upon hearing Bian Junhua describe Yuan Kongya's abilities, Bailey Changqing couldn't help but exclaim, this power really seems outrageously strong. However, Bian Junhua then smiled meaningfully and said, things can't be that simple. According to what we know, awakening a powerful ability always requires a corresponding price. Each of us has skirted with death when we awakened, essentially trading our lives for power, but her ability allows people to awaken without any cost. Where in this world do you get such a cheap deal? Bailey Changqing then realized, indeed, that's suspicious. There might be a huge conspiracy hidden behind it. Bian Junwu adjusted his glasses and said, the leadership has also considered this, and our region has long started research on mutants. Everyone thinks Yuan Kongya's abilities are too incredible, so before we came here, the higher-ups specifically instructed me to investigate her powers and see what the real situation is. Bailey Changqing then asked, if she is really as strong as the rumors say, does the leadership have any contingency plans? Bian Junhua thought for a few seconds, then spoke meaningfully. If she really possesses such abilities, she would be of strategic importance to our River South domain. In that case, her capabilities would not be inferior to an Epsilon level 5. At this remark, everyone's faces were filled with immense shock. The word Epsilon is an unreachable dream for all mutants in the capital region. Looking across the country, there is currently only one known Epsilon, that mysterious figure, and no one in the River South domain has yet reached this level. Bian Junwu had also been intentionally groomed, but ultimately, due to innate deficiencies, he was destined never to reach that level. He continued, I'm just saying it's a possibility. After all, we're not familiar with Yuan Kongya yet. This is just based on my experience. Just then, Jing Yixian arrived at the church door with Yuan Kongya, and Bian Junwu followed them into the church. Seeing this girl, who was only about 20 years old, Bian Junwu couldn't help but think to himself, she doesn't look like the strategic asset the higher-ups speculated. About 10 minutes later, Bian Junwu walked out of the church. Bailey Changqing, unable to contain his curiosity, rushed up to ask, Bien, how did it go? Is Yuan Kongya really an epsilon? At that moment, Bien Junwo responded with a neutral expression. It's impossible to determine her level just by looking at her once. Bien Junwo changed the subject, pointing at his temple, and said, however, there might be something off with this girl. Mang Siyu gossiped. Are you saying she might not be mentally stable? Everyone looked surprised, but Bailey Chongqing laughed and said, that makes sense, considering she's involved in religion. These types of people are either charlatans using it as an opportunity to make money or devout lunatics. Bien Junwo agreed, noting from their brief conversation that Yuan Kongya was extremely fanatic about religion and truly believed in the existence of deities. At that moment, Bien Junwo waved his hand and said, let's not worry about this for now. Once the zombie crisis is over, we'll have plenty of time to investigate. After all, she's here and can't go anywhere. Soon after, other forces also began to arrive at the Snow Worship sect, and a decisive battle with the zombies was about to begin. Zhang Yi got out of the car, immediately taking Zhou Qir's hand, and reminded her to stay close to him. Touched by Zhang Yi's tenderness, Zhou Qir nodded happily. At that moment, Xing Tian suddenly caught up from behind to greet them, prompting Zhang Yi to ask, how come you guys arrived later than us? Xing Tian nonchalantly replied, we've moved underground now. Transporting weapons and such takes more effort, unlike you, who can just hop in a car and go. After exchanging brief pleasantries, the two followed the guidance of the Snow Worship sect followers towards the church. They still didn't know why Bien Junwo had suddenly summoned them, and they were completely clueless about what was going on. Once inside the church, Zhang Yi noticed that everyone else had already arrived. However, there was one face he had never seen before. Seeing her in red robes and a devout demeanor, Zhang Yi immediately guessed the identity of the girl. The only person who could be here at this moment must be the leader of the Snow Worship sect, Yuan Kongya. Xing Tian, seeing Yuan Kongya for the first time, couldn't help but exclaim, I didn't expect Yuan Kongya to be so young. She looks almost underage. Zhang Yi was also surprised, having thought she would be a middle-aged woman. Instead, she turned out to be a somewhat dorky girl with bangs. At that moment, Bien Junwo cleared his throat, signaling everyone to quiet down. Last night, our investigation team killed a zombie king in the subway tunnel. We have confirmed that when a zombie king is killed, the entire zombie horde instantly loses control, much like a headless swarm of rats. Therefore, the key to solving the zombie problem at its root is to locate and eliminate all the zombie kings. Hearing this, everyone present was shocked. Zhang Yi thought, so they have found a way to deal with the zombie kings. The investigation team is indeed efficient, and their discovery matches their predictions. Initially, they had also tried to go underground to kill a zombie king, but ultimately failed. At this moment, only Xiao Honglian had a look of realization, thinking, so, the sudden change in the zombies around me was indeed caused by the investigation team. Xing Tian, curious, asked, what exactly is a zombie king? Can you explain in more detail? At this, Bien Junwo picked up a body bag lying nearby, then unzipped it and said, this is the zombie king. Everyone immediately stood up and gathered around, but when they saw what the zombie king looked like, the expressions on their faces were somewhat disappointed. They had imagined the zombie king to be a mysterious and terrifying creature, not the ordinary-looking white-haired monkey that lay before them. Bien Junwo explained, although the zombie king's own combat ability is weak, it possesses a high level of intelligence and can control a vast horde of zombies. Zhang Yi breathed a sigh of relief. He had once thought that the zombie king's combat power would far surpass that of the bronze-armored zombies. It now appears that the zombie king's model is somewhat similar to that of a hive. The queen has intelligence and can spawn more zombies, but the body itself lacks significant combat ability. At that moment, Bien Junwo shared their approach to killing the zombie king. The zombie hordes gather to attack humans, but the zombie king itself is quite fragile. It only hides deep in the subway tunnels and doesn't come out. So, we just need some people to distract the zombie army outside, and then send an elite team into the tunnels to kill the zombie king. Without the zombie king's commands, even a large number of zombies pose no threat. Upon hearing this, Jin Yixian suddenly realized, and gritting his teeth, said, what you mean is you want the followers of the Snow Worship sect to serve as bait. While our people draw out the zombie horde, you'll take the opportunity to go underground and deal with the zombie king? At this point, a fierce look appeared in Jin Yixian's eyes, and Yuan Kongya's eyes also shimmered with unspoken emotions. At that moment, Wei Dinghai smiled somewhat schadenfreudely. You two calm down for now. I think it makes perfect sense to use your Snow Worship sect as the battlefield, given that you have the most survivors in the entire Heavenly Sea City and your location is relatively central. Bien Junwo added, this decision was made after considering many factors and is not intended to target you specifically. Think about it. The Snow Worship sect's original defensive capabilities are weak, and you don't have shelters like some of the other forces. Concentrating all military forces here, isn't that better for protecting your safety? At this, Jin Yixian became even more agitated. By gathering everyone here, wouldn't that draw all the zombies of Heavenly Sea City towards us? Bien Junwo pushed his glasses up and said, if we can really draw the entire Heavenly Sea City's zombie horde here, then my plan would be perfect. This way, we can solve the zombie problem once and for all. However, Jin Yixian raised his voice in anger. That's too unfair to our followers. Who are you to decide their fate? At that moment, Xiao Honglian playfully said, "Young man, don't get too worked up. Think about it rationally. If the people from the River South Domain didn't come to handle the zombie crisis, with your flimsy defenses, the people of your snow worship sect would be doomed sooner or later. At least we can hide in underground shelters, wait for the zombies to starve to death once their food supply runs out, and then return to the surface. What belongs to us will still be ours. After all, we're here to help you." Xiao Honglian's tone was somewhat mocking, but those present understood that her words held some truth. However, Jing Yixian still indignantly shouted, "That's no reason to use our people as bait. They are unarmed civilians." At that moment, Bian Zhenwu walked up to Jing Yixian and retorted, "If that's the case, then why don't you come up with a better plan?" Jing Yixian was momentarily speechless. Bian Zhenwu continued assertively, "We traveled all the way from the capital of splendor, putting great effort into helping you resolve the zombie crisis. The 7 of us are here, and all the armed forces of the other major powers are also here. If your followers are bait, aren't all of us bait as well? We are risking our lives to face this crisis with you. Do you think we are doing this for fun?" Bian Zhenwu's forceful words left Jing Yixian without a response. Everyone else silently nodded in agreement. Zhang Yi slowly stood up and said, "When the zombie horde does attack, it will be us, the fighters, who will be on the front lines risking our lives. If it comes to dying, we will be the first to go. Now that Mr. Bian has gathered all the forces of Heavenly Sea City to protect your followers, I think you should be thanking him. Don't you think so?" Faced with Bian Zhenwu's assertiveness, Jing Yixian seemed to realize that they had no grounds to refuse. Bian Zhenwu was merely informing them, not consulting them. That he was even explaining the reasons to them was already giving them a lot of face. At this point, Jing Yixian sighed helplessly. "I understand that Bian is prioritizing the bigger picture, but we also need a convincing plan to protect my followers as much as possible." Seeing Jing Yixian compromise, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Bian Zhenwu pushed up his glasses and said, "Don't worry, I've already thought through the detailed battle plan. Our opponent is a creature of low intelligence, so no intricate tactics are needed." As the zombie hordes begin to converge on the snow worship sect, due to varying distances from different zombie gathering points, their arrival times will differ. The 5 major powers just need to slow down the pace of the zombie assault, while our 7 will quickly form a decapitation squad to go underground and kill the zombie king. Once the zombie king is successfully killed, the controlled wave of zombies will instantly lose their offensive power. This way, you can continue to hold off another wave until all zombie kings are killed. This plan's feasibility has been confirmed. It's basically a strategy of luring the tiger away from the mountain. Then we go deep into the den. Hearing this, Zhang Yi was speechless, thinking he might as well join the decapitation team, but his own team couldn't do without him. At that moment, Xing Tian came to an understanding and said, "Bian's idea is that we set up a huge trap at the snow worship sect and wait for the zombies to fall into it one by one." Bian Zhenwu, looking composed yet confident, "They are all low intelligence creatures. As long as the method is right, they are not that difficult to handle." Bian Zhenwu deliberately made it sound easy to lighten the tense atmosphere at the scene. Zhang Yi said, "I think Bian shouldn't underestimate these zombies. Just imagine, if we draw all the zombies from Heavenly Sea City here, the numbers could reach hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions. While our combat power is always limited, relying on these nearly defenseless fortifications, the pressure is not trivial. As the saying goes, even ants can kill an elephant." Zhang Yi also knew that without the shelter's protection, fighting in this kind of terrain was not his strong suit. At that point, Bian Zhenwu said seriously, "When the time comes, you all will need to fight to the death, as this is your own homeland." Jing Yixian looked around at everyone with disdain and said, "I just fear that some might intentionally underperform, causing greater casualties for our snow worship sect." "What then?" Hearing this, Xiao Honglian retorted angrily, "Don't judge others by your own low standards. When the zombie horde really presses on us, who would dare to slack off? If we can't hold against the zombie attack, we all die." Jing Yixian thought about it and realized it made sense. Anyone who slacked off would be the first to die. Bian Zhenwu looked around and asked, "Does anyone else have anything to add?" At this moment, Yuan Kongya, who had been silent, suddenly spoke up. "While attracting the zombies, I hope we can do our best to protect those who are non-combatants, especially children. Our followers of the snow worship sect are not afraid of death, but there are many women and children among them. We can't just watch them get torn apart by zombies." Bian Zhenwu responded, "Of course, that's no problem. We can find an abandoned building and settle them there. Take in all children under the age of 14 and secure the defenses. Everyone else must stay and act as bait," Bian Zhenwu said. Upon hearing this, Yuan Kongya suggested, "Nearby, this church is the safest place. Let's make it our shelter." She clasped her hands together, gazed devoutly at the crucifix, and murmured softly, "May the snow god protect his devout followers." Subsequently, Bian Zhenwu distributed a communication device to the leaders of each faction. This was an extremely advanced piece of communication equipment, capable of connecting to the Nebula satellite system for precise positioning and maintaining excellent communication performance in harsh environments. Bian Zhenwu told everyone, "This battle is likely to be a prolonged one, and I hope everyone will give their all and cooperate actively." Zhang Yi wasn't really worried about this, as his space was well stocked with with food and weapons. His main concern now was Zhou Care, thinking he must ensure her safety by placing her in this church. With this in mind, Zhang Yi approached Yuan Kongya with a grin and said, "Miss Sect Leader, may I trouble you with something?" But before Yuan Kongya could respond, Jing Yixin quickly stepped between them and said, "Mr. Zhang Yi, you can discuss any matters with me. Our sect leader devotes herself to serving the deity, and I am fully responsible for all church affairs." The sudden interjection by Jing Yixin puzzled Zhang Yi, who thought, is this guy really necessary? Such strong protective instincts. Could they be a couple? But Zhang Yi wasn't interested in their personal lives and responded, "I've brought a highly skilled doctor, my girlfriend. However, she is not a mutant, so I hope Miss Sect Leader can allow her to stay in the church." Jing Yixin, visibly annoyed by the term Miss Sect Leader, said sharply, "Mr. Zhang Yi, please be mindful of how you address our revered sect leader." Realizing his mistake, Zhang Yi quickly apologized, somewhat embarrassedly. "I thought your holy sect leader wouldn't mind such formalities." Just then, Yuan Kongya stepped forward and said, "That's certainly no problem. That you've brought your girlfriend to join us in this battle shows how seriously you're taking it, and a doctor is a very important logistical member. Let her stay with us." Zhang Yi immediately expressed his gratitude to Yuan Kongya, clapping his chest and saying, "By bringing my girlfriend here, my team will naturally do our utmost to ensure the safety of the church. This is good for everyone." After saying this, Zhang Yi turned and left the church. Watching Zhang Yi's retreating figure, Yuan Kongya and Jing Yixin exchanged meaningful glances. Jing Yixin sighed, "That guy is the biggest wildcard in Heavenly Sea City. Let's hope he doesn't become our enemy." As soon as he left the church, Zhang Yi saw a somewhat familiar figure. Looking closer, it turned out to be Li Jian, a neighbor from Yahello community. He had assumed that the people from the community would have been devoured by zombies by now, but here was one appearing at the snow worship sect. Li Jian saw Zhang Yi too, but quickly turned his head away as if he didn't recognize him and hurried away. Zhang Yi couldn't help but wonder, is he avoiding me? Zhang Yi returned to where the snow vehicle was parked. He said to Zhou Care, "You and Lian Yu sleep in the vehicle for now. Once the battle starts, I'll take you to the church to stay with their sect leader. If we need medical treatment, we'll come to you." Zhou Care just kept nodding her head, feeling both nervous and excited about her first participation in such a large-scale battle. At that moment, Zhang Yi looked around mysteriously and said, "Come to the vehicle with me. I have something else to tell you." After closing the car door, he cautioned Zhou Care that Yuan Kongya is no ordinary person. She has the ability to help ordinary people awaken powers. But remember, if she offers to help you awaken, you must refuse. I don't trust her powers. I don't believe in a free lunch. Every gift of fate has its price already secretly marked. Zhou Care smiled sweetly and responded, "Got it, brother Zhang Yi." Watching the couple inside the vehicle, the others teased them playfully. Zhang Yi added, "Actually, I have another task for you. Keep an eye on their sect leader, Yuan Kongya. I suspect there's something off about her. Observe her actions closely and report back to me." After instructing Zhou Care, Zhang Yi stepped out of the vehicle. Suddenly, a voice from behind said, "Everyone is busy setting up defenses, and here you are, having a romantic chat. I think the zombie horde will be attracted here soon. You'd better get familiar with the surroundings quickly." It turned out to be an old classmate, Xing Tian. Zhang Yi smiled and responded, "Thanks for the reminder, old classmate." Xing Tian looked into the distance and sighed, "I've brought everything from home for this battle. We can't afford to lose this one." At this, Xing Tian suddenly clenched his teeth and said, "I just hope that old guy Bian Junwu doesn't screw us over." Zhang Yi quickly reassured, "At this point, it seems we have no choice but to trust him." Afterward, Zhang Yi and his team began to familiarize themselves with the surroundings. He immediately identified the best defensive position. The location Zhang Yi chose was an abandoned building next to the church. It was in the central area of the snow worship sect. If they could get to the rooftop, they would be able to oversee and defend all areas within a 5-kilometer radius using his abilities. Additionally, the spot offered a wide field of view for commanding the team and keeping track of battlefield movements. If the situation turned dire, they could also make a quick escape. However, as he approached the entrance of the building, several priests of the snow worship sect stopped them and stated that this was a sacred area of the snow worship sect and outsiders were not allowed to approach. Zhang Yi said with a mocking tone, "You've been reading too many martial arts novels, haven't you? What's this about forbidden areas?" He thought to himself, the snow worship sect was only established a few months ago. This office building had nothing to do with you before, so how did it become your forbidden area? Nevertheless, the priests were adamant and would not allow Zhang Yi and his group to come any closer. With no other choice, Zhang Yi had to look elsewhere. Fortunately, this area was a commercial district, so choosing another building wasn't a big deal, but this so-called forbidden area had piqued Zhang Yi's curiosity. Zhang Yi eventually chose another building and then started climbing towards the rooftop. The 30-plus story building was a bit too much for some of them, especially Chun Lei, who would have preferred to wait downstairs as he had no desire to go up. Uncle Yu also complained, "Why don't you use your dimensional gate to teleport up there? Isn't it a hassle to climb up like this?" Zhang Yi looked back meaningfully and said, "This ability shouldn't be exposed so easily. I won't use it unless absolutely necessary." The group struggled to reach the rooftop, and indeed, the position they chose was perfect. Apart from some blind spots right in front of the building. Zhang Yi's bullets could cover almost any angle. Zhang Yi told the others, "I'll defend from this position, and you all stay in this building too. Since we don't have to rush to the front lines, we can adjust our plans as necessary." His storage space was well stocked with weapons and food, so they were well prepared for a lengthy battle. Meanwhile, Li Jian, having just bumped into his old acquaintance Zhang Yi, quickly left. On his way back, he was torn about whether to secretly share the secrets he knew with Zhang Yi, hoping Zhang Yi could then take his family away. He returned to the tent where his son was settled. Li Kelly's physical wounds had healed, but his mental state was severely affected, which deeply worried the couple. At that moment, Li Jian made up his mind. He thought that his son had ended up like this because of the snow worship sect, and there was no point in staying any longer. He decided to contact Zhang Yi to see if he could help. In the middle of the night, Zhang Yi, resting in the vehicle, suddenly opened his eyes. After pulling back the curtains of the car window, he saw that patrols were still active around the so-called forbidden area. Clearly, there must be significant secrets hidden there related to the snow worship sect. His curiosity piqued. Zhang Yi decided to sneak in and investigate. Zhang Yi immediately opened 2 doors, directly transporting from the snow vehicle into the building. As soon as he entered, Zhang Yi was stunned by what he saw. The room in front of him appeared to be an office, but the entire interior was filled with vines and leaves. Could this be a mutant plant? Zhang Yi wondered. But what was the snow worship sect hiding by declaring this a forbidden area? Could this plant be providing them with food, or did it have some other function? Zhang Yi's mind raced with possibilities, as the plant's size was beyond his understanding. But on second thought, if cats and dogs could mutate and grow larger, plants with their robust growth capabilities could logically reach this extent too. Zhang Yi had a strong feeling that uncovering this secret would reveal the snow worship sect's Achilles heel. Since he was already inside, Zhang Yi was determined to investigate thoroughly. With that in mind, he drew the dragon's roar blade, and with a swoosh, he chopped off several stems. Then he walked from the office to the central hall, and the sight before him made him jump. He saw that the entire building had been hollowed out into a massive pit, and a gigantic plant soared from the deepest part of the building, piercing the ceiling of the top floor. Zhang Yi couldn't help but marvel. Could this be the legendary world tree? It seems this trip was well worth it. Clearly, the secret guarded by the snow worship sect was this tree. At that moment, Zhang Yi faced a choice: stop here and pretend nothing happened and leave, or continue further to uncover the real secrets of the tree. Should he keep digging? There was a certain risk. If discovered, the people of the snow worship sect might fight him desperately. After much deliberation, Zhang Yi still didn't want to miss this opportunity. Thinking this, Zhang Yi casually plucked a red fruit and, seeing nothing unusual, stored it in his dimensional space. He gathered some branches, but when he saw the dense, cocoon-like objects hanging from the tree, he hesitated. Could these contain some kind of monster? Zhang Yi bit the bullet and decided if he was going to do it, he might as well go all in. He cut one off and immediately stored it in his dimensional space. After doing this, without any hesitation, he swiftly activated the double doors and made a quick getaway. After returning to the vehicle, Zhang Yi did not rush to study the items he had acquired, as he knew he wouldn't be able to make much sense of them on his own. The next day, everyone was actively preparing defenses against the zombie horde, but after a day and a night, they hadn't seen even a single zombie hair. Zhang Yi speculated, could it be that the zombie horde has sensed our actions and changed their strategy, or did we underestimate the intelligence of the zombie kings? Xiao Honglian also frowned and said, these white-haired monkeys seem too intelligent, almost as if there's a human directing them from behind. Xing Tian added, if these guys don't show up, are we supposed to just keep waiting here? Yan Junwu, arms crossed, asked, how are your bases doing? Everyone shook their heads, indicating nothing unusual. The bases were as quiet as here. Although personnel had been moved underground, there were still surveillance cameras on the surface, and no signs of zombie attacks had been detected. At that moment, Johnny suddenly thought of something and looked at Bian Junwu, asking, could it be because you killed a zombie king? There might be some kind of interconnected link between zombie kings, and once one link is broken, they would definitely become more alert. Bian Junwu's expression remained neutral as he calmly said to everyone, today is the first day. Maybe the zombie horde is still watching. What we need to do now is just to wait patiently. It's like fishing. In the end, it's about who has more patience, the fisher or the fish. Deep into the night, Zhang Yi still decided to let Zhou Qir do a preliminary study. The fruits and branches would have to be studied slowly back at the lab, but the cocoon-like object could be opened up first to see what was inside. Zhou Qir skillfully opened her portable toolkit and in just a few minutes, unveiled the mystery of the large cocoon, finding a handsome man inside. Fortunately, it had been in a cold environment and did not smell too bad. Zhang Yi breathed a sigh of relief. If it's just a corpse, that's still within the realm of understanding. I was afraid it might be some kind of monster. Recalling the densely packed thousands of bodies inside the building, Zhang Yi suddenly realized, so that's how it is. Amid the puzzled looks from everyone, Zhang Yi explained, there is a huge mutant plant inside the building that seems to be absorbing nutrients from corpses and then producing these red fruits. At this point, Liang Yu said, I've also seen followers of the snow worship sect eating these red fruits. So, this mutant tree is their source of food. That means their so-called forbidden area area is actually their own granary. No wonder they guard it so fiercely. Zhang Yi then said to Zhou Qi, let's analyze the components of the leaves and branches when we get back to see if we can discover anything new. Zhou Qi replied that it wouldn't be a problem. When we return, I'll prepare some slides and then analyze them with a microscope and biological reagents. Meanwhile, driven by curiosity, Bian Junwu and his team covertly obtained a corpse. After Meng Xiu's research, it turned out to be just a corpse that had been drained of nutrients, with no abnormalities found. As for the red fruit, after a preliminary analysis by Meng Xiu, a biologist, it was found to contain a hallucinogenic effect, which the Snow Worship sect likely uses to better control their followers. Other than that, no other pathogens were found, and the fruit was high in sugar content, making it a nutritionally rich food. After a moment of thought, Bian Junwu said, we should take some of the roots and stems to see if the experts in the lab can cultivate it. This plant is too rare and will definitely be very useful in the future. Inside the building, Jing Yishan stood in front of the blood vine, counting from 1 to 3,970. After finishing, Jing Yishan sighed, one less again. These guys are really curious. The next day, no traces of the zombie horde were still found. Bian Junwu had utilized resources from the River South domain to use the nebula system for tight surveillance over the entire Heavenly Sea City, finally finding some clues. Bian Junwu quickly gathered everyone and shared the latest news. The zombie horde is gathering in our direction, with a preliminary estimate of at least 100,000. Everyone, get ready. A tough battle is about to begin. Hearing the number 100,000, everyone felt a chill, but only Zhang Yi knew in his heart that this number was definitely an underestimate. Back then, the zombie count at just one subway station was estimated to be close to 100,000, and now gathering all the zombies from Heavenly Sea City, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to call it an army of 1,000,000. When Bian Junwu mentioned 100,000 zombies, Xiao Honglian immediately became uneasy. What if we can't hold off the zombie horde's attack and get overwhelmed before you can eliminate the zombie king? We might end up perishing here. At least in our own bases, we still have underground shelters as a fallback. Now here at the Snow Worship sect, not only do we lack any fallback, but we also have a large group of civilians to protect. Bian Junwu adjusted his sunglasses and calmly said, if you feel the defense pressure is too much, you can switch tasks with others, or even with our investigation team. Xiao Honglian was at a loss for words, thinking about their small team of just 7 people who would need to fight underground against bronze-armored zombies as powerful as mutants. Naturally, she didn't have the courage to switch. She could only say helplessly, alright, let's just follow Bian's arrangements. At that moment, Bian Junwu again reminded everyone, if this mission fails, Heavenly Sea City will undoubtedly become a dead city. If it comes to that, the River South domain will certainly choose to erase Heavenly Sea City from the map with death from love. So, I hope everyone will give their all. Hearing this, Zhang Yi also started to get nervous, wondering what he should do if they fail. Could his double doors successfully help everyone escape? With this worry, Zhang Yi approached Bian Junwu and asked, Mr. Bian, there's something I haven't figured out. Since we've already found a way to deal with the zombie horde, why not directly ask the district for support? With the district's strength, sending some elites to eliminate the zombie kings shouldn't be difficult. So why must we face such life or death pressure? After listening, Bian Junwu smiled and said, you don't think the situation in Heavenly Sea City is severe? Zhang Yi awkwardly replied, the city is surrounded by zombies, and Heavenly Sea City is about to become a dead city. Isn't that severe? Bian Junwu's expression changed, becoming serious. That's what you think? To the River South domain, Heavenly Sea City is just an ordinary city with nothing special about it. We're in an era of mutations, and new problems arise every day within the entire district. Mutants, exotic creatures, unexplainable mysterious events. Many things are beyond our control. Relative to other issues, the zombie crisis in Heavenly Sea City is just a common occurrence. The district has too many things to handle, and the number of investigation teams like ours is limited. As long as the situation remains controllable, the River South domain will not send large forces to suppress it. At this, Bian Junwu patted Zhang Yi on the shoulder. The world is vast, and if one day you go out and see it for yourself, you'll understand that this place is actually very stable. Curiosity filled Zhang Yi's eyes, but he shook his head and said, I'm a family man. I prefer to stay at home. Bian Junwu smiled faintly and said, if you ever change your mind, you can contact me. But as he spoke the words contact me, he suddenly paused. He knew very well that given his current health condition, how long he could live was uncertain. He sighed and said, let's talk about this after we deal with the zombie crisis. Days passed, and by the 5th day, the zombie horde finally arrived. A massive number of zombies appeared around the Snow Worship sect, pouring out from the depths of the subway like a disturbed anthill. Soon, the entire land was overwhelmed by zombies. Zhang Yi quickly took Shou Qi to the church and entrusted Yuan Kongya with her safety. Please make sure she is protected. After speaking, he headed to the building he had chosen as his lookout point. Zhang Yi reached the rooftop and started to pick off targets, but the sheer number of zombies was overwhelming, and the speed of his sniper rifle could hardly make a significant impact. Fortunately, the firepower from the major forces was fierce enough. For this battle, all the forces had pulled out all the stops. Despite such an intense firepower, the relentless advance of the zombies toward the snow worship sect could not be stopped. Soon, the second line of defense, the firewall, was activated. As the horde approached, the prearranged combustibles were instantly ignited. Due to the high density of the horde, the firewall quickly burned through rows of zombies once it caught fire. Radiant Prosperity Base had set up 3 firewalls around the entire snow worship sect. Whenever the zombie horde and the giant rat swarm approached, the firewalls would be instantly ignited. But the number of zombies was too overwhelming, and some were still able to cross the firewall, continuously advancing towards the defenses. Xiao Honglian commanded the battle from the front line with a serious expression. Aim for their legs. Under the heavy barrage, limbs and body parts were sent flying among the zombie horde. Despite this, the zombies slowly pressed forward with their sheer numbers, approaching humanity's last line of defense. And that last line of defense was undoubtedly the most powerful mutants from the 5 major forces. Fully armed mutant warriors wielding various melee weapons charged into the horde, slashing wildly. Ordinary zombies posed almost no threat to the mutants, but the fearsome ones were those enormous bronze-armored zombies. Xiao Honglian never expected hundreds of bronze-armored zombies to follow the horde. She vividly remembered the footage sent back by her capable subordinate Dong Hu before his death. Just one bronze-armored zombie had torn Dong Hu and his dozen soldiers to shreds, with hundreds appearing at once. How could they fight? Zhuge Qingting, who had also seen the video, was utterly shocked. But at this point, Xiao Honglian could only command in a grave voice, "Everyone, be ready to fight to the death." What they didn't know was that Zhang Yi on the rooftop had already marked these bronze-armored zombies as his prey. He pulled out an anti-armor sniper rifle from his dimensional space. Large-caliber armor-piercing bullets combined with his special abilities. Zhang Yi was looking forward to seeing what this combination could do, expecting some surprises. With a loud gunshot, the bullet, infused with his abilities, swiftly flew out and penetrated the skull of a bronze-armored zombie. Seeing this, a clear smile appeared on Zhang Yi's face. It worked as expected. However, the bronze-armored zombies proved to be smarter than regular zombies. Seeing what happened, they started to hide behind other zombies, but this was futile against Zhang Yi, who had spatial abilities. Their larger size made them easy targets, even if they tried to crawl. Zhang Yi fired shot after shot, each bullet finding its mark, each shot lethal. For a moment, the heavy sounds of the anti-armor sniper rifle echoed continuously around the snow worship sect's main camp. Xiao Honglian and Wei Dinghai were stunned. Just a second ago, they were terrified by the appearance of the bronze-armored zombies, and the next second, they were astonished to see Zhang Yi shooting them down as easily as cutting weeds. Both of them gasped, relieved that Zhang Yi was still their comrade in arms. Wei Dinghai couldn't help but remark, "We should avoid opposing him in the future, otherwise, we wouldn't even know how we died." The powerful bronze-armored zombies being picked off one by one greatly boosted the morale of the allied forces. At that moment, Xing Tian charged out from the crowd on a demonic wolf, followed closely by his Xing Tian Legion. His ability enhanced the morale and combat power of his entire legion. The next second, Xing Tian leaped from the back of the demonic wolf, wielding a giant battle axe, and crashed down into the center of the zombie horde. The powerful impact instantly created a massive storm, sweeping away hundreds of zombies. The gigantic demonic wolf also plunged into the horde. It exhaled a breath of extreme cold, instantly freezing the zombies into ice sculptures. With a swipe of its large paw, the ice sculptures shattered into fragments. At this moment, Wei Dinghai also began to demonstrate his formidable power. In this icy environment, his Ice Lord ability was undeniably powerful. Covered in frost armor, he simply raised his hands high, and beneath the ground within thousands of meters in front of him, the thick ice and snow shattered thunderously. Thousands of zombies had no time to evade and were buried in the fissures. Meanwhile, the ordinary followers of the snow worship sect, armed with blades provided by the Emerald Waterside base and injected with strength-enhancing drugs from the Radiant Prosperity base, had turned into pain-insensitive war machines. Even when chunks of flesh were bitten off by the mutant giant rats larger than humans, they merely frowned before continuing to fight. Watching such a bloody scene, Zhang Yi couldn't help but wonder, with such rudimentary defensive structures, what has allowed the snow worship sect to withstand the zombie horde for so long without being annihilated? It was indeed puzzling. As he thought this, his hands were not idle. He continued to seek out bronze-armored zombies within the horde and snipe them precisely. Meanwhile, the investigation team had circled to the rear of the zombie horde, but zombies were still continuously emerging from the tunnel. Kongxing worriedly said, "There must be at least 100,000 by now. I wonder how much more time they can buy for us." Wu Di, however, was dismissive. "Those people will fight desperately to survive. Moreover, as long as we can successfully kill the zombie king, we really don't need to worry about whether those people live or die." Bian Junwo also said, "As long as we can resolve the zombie crisis, the sacrifice of a few is worth it. We should almost start making our move." He then asked Meng Xiu to use her scouting ability to check the situation in the tunnel. After sensing for a while, Meng Xiu informed everyone there is still a huge number of zombies underground, including many bronze-armored zombies and white-haired monkeys. Bian Junwo then realized, so this is a trap. trap. After our last successful killing of the zombie king, they likely knew we would use this tactic. It seems we've underestimated the intelligence of the zombie kings. Their intelligence may have reached human levels, or perhaps the mastermind behind them is human. At this moment, Bailey Chongqing asked, "What should we do now? If the zombie horde underground is too massive, it would be too dangerous for just the 7 of us to recklessly enter." Bien Junwo spoke in a deep voice. "Let's wait a bit longer. Let them attract more zombies before we make our move." The pressure continued to mount on the allied forces. A rough estimate indicated that there were already no less than 200,000 zombies on the battlefield. At this point, Zhang Yi also began to feel uneasy, and he couldn't help but lament, how much longer will this zombie tide last?